as we talk about streams, spas, and gods. So tonight's topic, I'm just going to set the controller down, is on who am I? As Zoolander would say, who am I? So we're going to be talking about who am I in terms of as a streamer, a podcaster, and a Christ follower. So let's begin with the first one, which I just kind of said. Who am I? So this is sort of think of the who am I question that I'm posing here as like sort of uncertainty with yourself, I guess. So who am I to share streaming advice like for these streams, pause, and God segments? Like I share streaming advice, but I've only been streaming for like 2.5 years at most, and really only consistently for like a year. And I have dramatic lines set up. I only have one light, no second light. I have I don't know. I'm streaming from a Mac. And what is that? So, who am I to share streaming advice when I haven't really had a lot of experience doing it, and I've certainly had some success. I mean, all you guys are here chatting. That's definitely amazing and awesome. So, I guess it depends on how you measure success. But I mean, really, there are so many other people you guys could probably be learning streaming advice from over me. Not that you necessarily come to these for that, but in case you do, who am I to share that? I mean, because again, lack of experience, lack of sort of analogies I could give you, and just sort of extra insight that comes from doing this for a long time. Well, for me, and I'm sort of pairing these in like, who am I to do this, and what can I offer because of who I am, and something about me is that I actually am able. I really enjoy watching people who talk about streaming and give tutorials and insights and things like that. So I watch a lot of other people's YouTubes and YouTube video content about streaming, and I feel like I'm able to then sort of synthesize the best stuff and share the things that I think will help someone if I'm interacting one-to-one or I'm interacting with you guys, to be able to share the things that I think might help you the most. I feel like I'm able to do that. So if you're wondering, like, who am I to maybe it's like, who am I to stream this game? I mean, tons of other people stream, say, Fortnite. Well, think of something that is sort of unique to you. Maybe you're the only person that streams Fortnite while their kids are watching you, or like kids are there with you watching, or maybe you're someone who streams Stardew Valley and you're actually like in your farm, like you're actually streaming from your garden, and like, oh wow, that plant looks like this geranium or something. I don't know. Just there's tons of things that are unique to you that could allow you to bring value where maybe no one else could bring that value. Hey Dale, welcome to the stream. Who am I to stream at all? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, exactly. Who am I to stream at all? So that's who am I to stream. Second, podcasting related, of course, because streams pausing odd. Who am I to voice an opinion on a podcast? Like, I started a podcast with my friend Paul. Excuse me, you all know that. But who am I to like share my opinion about movies and video games? I don't have any like movie industry experience. I don't have any video game industry experience. I didn't go to school for film theory or anything like that. So who am I to give an opinion on these movies and video games that we cover? And what I can offer to the people that listen, and what I think me and Paul both offer, is we love watching a lot. Just this sort of this love of watching movies, especially movies as a kid. I mean, that's what a lot of my pastime was watching movies and playing video games. So I do have almost juxtaposed to what I have in terms of streaming time. I have a lot of time invested throughout my life in watching movies and video games. So I feel like I am able to give my own sort of holistic perspective on individual movies based on everything I've seen in movies in general. and also be able to do that in the context of a really fun rapport I have with Paul, and I think that's something that's valuable to other people. So if you're again wondering if you're thinking of starting a podcast, again think of what valuable thing could you bring from maybe you want to do it based on a passion you've had. We've talked about sort of determining what things you love to do. I know my brother's really amazing at editing video and doing filmmaking. I think he could do an amazing podcast on like sort of independent filmmaking or something like that. That'd be really interesting to listen to. So it's just like, and he's from a long time ago. I remember us making movies like growing up, even into our teen years. So I think it's probably if you're going to do a podcast on something, it should be on something that you've been doing, have had an affinity for a long time. Geek Devotion says, giving advice that you've tested is always a good thing. Good point. Good point, Geek Devotions. And Dale says, with so much content regarding movies, how could I be different than what I see already? And that's a really tough question, Dale. It's pretty much the best way I've heard it described is that pretty much everyone, there's like tons of movie podcasts, there's tons of video game podcasts, there's tons of political podcasts and design podcasts and Christian podcasts. The only thing you have that can make it stand out, unless you happen to get the luck penny and just you happen upon some novelty, like sort of like if you've heard of the podcast Serial, where it's this sort of true crime drama that NPR sort of, or I don't think it was NPR, someone else, This American Life partnered with them. That's right, to make this series, and just everyone was just infatuated with it because it was something pretty novel. If you don't happened upon that, then really all you have is you and who you are, because you are very unique. I mean, I take issues with the whole like, oh, I'm a snowflake, I'm so special and amazing. But I mean, that's a double-edged sword. There is a part of that where it's like, okay, come on, you're not that different from everyone else. But in the same sense, you are very different from everyone else. There is no one else who has been or ever will be that is like you. So you have a very unique perspective on things that no one else will have. And I think the trick is actually being willing to take a stand and say, okay, this is like, say movies. This is how I feel about this movie. A lot of times people don't want to offend someone else or don't want to make a definitive opinion because they don't want to be wrong, first off. They don't want to be wrong. And if you're wrong, you could be made fun of and teased. And so, Dale, I wish it was an easier question, like, oh, just follow this formula. But if you're looking to do like a movie podcast that's unique to you, it really is like just or to do a movie podcast, it has to be something that's unique to you. And everyone has a unique perspective. You as someone who actually shows movies to their church, that's something that not a lot of people do. I don't do that. I think, okay, so this is me maybe being offensive. I don't know. But Dale, so since you are in pest control, I think it'd be really, really fun and interesting if, say, you were to do a podcast or a YouTube series or something from the perspective of, you do it on movies like Arachnophobia, or I think there's one, isn't there one with Crispin Glover where he's like has a bunch of rats or something? But you do it from the perspective of, okay, these people are doing the totally wrong thing in terms of pest control. You don't want to do that. You want to do this, or just going to these movies where there's this like outbreak of ants or insects or whatever it is, and having your perspective of a pest control person. I think that'd be really interesting, especially if you, thank you so much, hon. I think that'd be a really interesting perspective. So, let's see. Let me catch up on chat here. And this actually leads me into my final point, which is, who am I in God? But let me see. Geek Devotion says, Scripture tells us that there is nothing new under the sun, but that is unique. But yeah, exactly. What is unique is you. And oh yeah, your Dale made devotions are really good, Dale. So that's definitely something. Okay, that leads to the last point of who am I in God? And like I said at the start, if you were here, I didn't research this as well as I would have liked to. But something to keep in mind, and I think I need a reminder of this every so often, is that if you think about, there's this command, one of the 10 Commandments is you will not create any, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. You will not create any idols or worship anything else besides the Lord your God. And Geek Devotion is definitely like, if I'm getting that inaccurate, or anyone, if I'm getting that wrong, by all means say. But I think that's the main gist of that commandment. Now, there's two things to that. It's because, well, no one else, there's nothing, God is so unlike anything else that we should not be praising anything except him. But there's a second corollary to that, is that God already has made something in his image, not that it's necessarily to be worshipped, but we don't need to make something in God's image because we are actually made in God's image, and we are his craftsmanship, and we're loved because he made us. So, chiefly who we are in God is we are his creation, who he made because of his overflow of love and wanting to share creation with us. And I will end with a Bible verse, and then we'll go back to Final Fantasy 3, where I don't know what I'm going to do. So this comes from 1 Peter 2 through 9, and this is the New American Standard Bible translation. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who has called you out of the darkness and into his marvelous light. So, thank you all. I'll end it with that. Thank you for watching this Streams Pausing God, coughing and all. Hopefully it helped you in some way, or is just enjoyable to listen to, even though I have a sort of ending cold voice. Regardless, thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. All right, peace.